okay, how did we get to the what we call postmodernism, and how is it different than modernism?
Right. Well, postmodernism and modernism agree on one thing.
Okay.
They both agree that knowledge requires absolute certainty.
Okay.
The difference is that the naturalist and modernist believes that we can find that certainty through science.
Okay.
The postmodernist points out that the emperor has no clothes.
Okay.
And that the quest for certainty is a fool's errand.
Okay.
The postmodernist points out rightly that scientists are influenced by their worldview commitments. Scientists are influenced by their culture. They're influenced by their own ethics and by their own upbringing. So that scientists are not totally objective. And that even when they are reaching some modicum of objectivity, their conclusions are not absolutely certain. We can't have absolute certainty even in science. And the postmodernists has pointed this out. And even most scientists today know this, that you can't have absolute certainty even about science. And that scientism, the idea that science is the only real source of knowledge, that's self-defeating. It's contradictory.
Right.
Just like with the New Age movement that we pointed out a while ago, the claim that science is the only source of knowledge is not a scientific claim. It's a philosophical claim about science. And so if science and scientific claims are the only things we can know, well then we can't know that science is the only thing we can know.
Right.
Because that's self-defeating, it's self-contradictory. So scientism is false, and we know that we can't have absolute certainty. So that modernism is a fool's quest. Okay. So the postmodernist then, though, says we can't have absolute certainty, and so therefore we must be uncertain about everything. And so the postmodernist goes to the opposite extreme.
Okay.
The postmodernist now tells us we can't be objective at all.
Okay.
We can't have knowledge really about anything. We're all influenced by our worldviews and by our upbringing to believe what we believe.
Right.
I believe everything I believe because that's what mommy and daddy influenced me to believe and what my culture has influenced me to believe.
Okay.
And so postmodernism now takes us to the opposite extreme, where now all we're left with is skepticism and relativism, where your truth is as good as my truth, and they can be contradictory and we can both be right.
Okay. That's a good point that you make, because especially a lot of young people I talk to would say, if you were born in Iraq or Iran, you would be Muslim. And one young person that said that to me is an atheist, but he was born in Trussville, Alabama, in the Bible Belt. And I said to him, well, you ought to be a Christian then. And so what you're saying is, we're not denying that our culture can influence. We're not denying that.
That's right.
But what we're saying is what you're saying is we need to go deeper and look for the evidence of those truths instead of just saying, well, you can't know anything. There is no truth. Well, if there is no truth, how would you answer the young people? Why do we go to school? Why do we learn anything?
That's right.
How does postmodernism affect God, the Bible, and morality, do you think? Those three subjects, God, morality, and the Bible.
Oh, wow. You may have to help me remember those.
Okay.
Well, when it comes to God, if postmodernism is right, then God is whatever you want him to be.
Okay.
He's, you can tailor-make your own God. And your God would be as true and as real as my God, which basically means he's not real at all, right?
Exactly. Right.
Postmodernism basically adopts a view called anti-realism, which says that each person and, well, each group of persons creates their own reality.
Wow.
And their own God, their own ethics, their own human nature, whatever it is, we create our own reality. And when we disagree, we're not really disagreeing, because each person's reality is no more valid or true than anybody else's reality. Now, of course, the problem with this is it's absolutely contradictory and self-defeating.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
The statement "there is no truth" is a truth claim, which claims that there's something that's true, namely that there's no truth, which is self-defeating. Okay. But so that's how it affects God. Now, the other one was, how does it affect?
Let's talk about morality. That's the biggie.
Well, obviously, if there is no ultimate truth, then there's no truth in morality beyond what I want it to be. I can construct my own morality. What's right and wrong is whatever I want it to be, or whatever my group agrees that it is. Okay. Right? And so that's why we have all the diversity of moral opinions in the world today, beyond just religious viewpoints.
Okay. So postmodernism has really put the gasoline on this fire, then, you think?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is being taught in schools, right?
In many places, to some degree everywhere, but in some places more than others.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think is, we come to a conclusion here, would you agree with me that at the heart of this is the heart of man, that basically he wants to live the way he wants to live. Or do you think people really believe it, or do you think there's a mixture there?
I think ultimately everyone wants to escape from the God who is.
Okay.
As Schaeffer would say, Francis Schaeffer, the God who is there.
Okay.
But there are varying degrees of this kind of depravity,
Okay.
as we might call it.
Okay.
And some people go to more extremes, further extremes.
Right.
Most people, though, don't really embrace this postmodernism whole hog.
Okay.
I find in my experience that most people hear about postmodernism and some of its implications that we've talked about
Right.
regarding God and morality, and it sounds good.
Right.
It allows them not to get into arguments with people.
Right.
Oh, you can have your truth and I can have mine
Right.
too, and let's just get along.
Convenient.
That's right.
Right.
But if you push them on this and ask them questions about it, my experience tells me that most people haven't thought about it for even 5 minutes.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
And that brings us to this.
Yeah.
How can we help teenagers, college students, maybe parents who want to help, or adults? What are some practical steps you think we can do in the churches, or parents can do with their kids to help with this thought? Because it's tricky and it sounds good. It's very alluring. What do you think we can do or should do?
Well, I would say two things, and both of them are going to require some study.
Okay.
One is to learn the Christian worldview,
Right.
the Christian
Okay.
theistic worldview. Learn what it is, learn how it impacts education and science and morality and all these various areas, and learn how to think Christianly. One of the things I find that's going on in the church is that we don't think Christianly because we don't have a Christian worldview.
Right.
Most Christians have beliefs, some beliefs that come from the Bible. Oh, there's a God. He came to earth in Jesus Christ. He rose from the dead. These very, very important theological beliefs, but they haven't learned to apply these Christian doctrines to all these various areas of life, like education and science and philosophy and art and literature and the whole gamut.
So they're separated.
They're right. That's right.
Like, here's my church life, God life, and here's my other life.
That's right.
Okay.
And then secondly, learn to do apologetics.
Right.
Learn how to go out there into the world and engage people of other worldviews like naturalism and pantheism and postmodernism. Show them where they go wrong and learn how to defend the truths that we believe. So learn the Christian worldview and how it applies to various areas. And then secondly, learn how to do apologetics to defend the faith.
All right. Well, Dr. Cowan, on that subject, are there some books that you could recommend to a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, up to maybe a little deeper, someone in college, or even deeper than that? I've got a couple here. The Universe Next Door, that's really good on worldviews, and also The Foundation of Christian Thought by Mark Cosgrove, that I think has really helped me. What do you recommend to people?
I recommend those as well. I think those are great resources. I would also suggest a book by Ronald Nash called Worldviews in Conflict, which contrasts these three worldviews we talked about, the three main ones. Also a book called Postmodernizing the Church, Postmodernizing the Faith by Millard Erickson. A really good book. Beyond that, another step up, I would say, would be a book by Chad Meister called Building Belief. It's a good apologetics book. Another good resource on postmodernism is Truth Decay, not Tooth Decay, but Truth Decay by Doug Grotice. And then lastly, a book by Kenneth Samples called A World of Difference.
A World of Difference. Okay. All right.
Books.
Well, Dr. Cowan, thank you so much for being with us. Also, folks, he is working on a book on defending the Scriptures. So when that's done in a year or so, I'm going to bring Dr. Cowan back in, and we're going to talk about that because that is a huge subject, defending God's Word. So listen, your life changes, folks, when you and I stop looking for and worshiping the God we want, and we start looking for and worshiping the God who really exists. Thank you so much. Have a great day.